All right, y'all. So we got new footage shows Tory never shot Meg Thee Stallion. State rep exposed Tory Lanez is innocent. Um, Anybody with common sense could see through this whole situation and see what was actually going on with the whole label situation and the whole best friends being drunk and both best friends getting smashed and best friend takes the stand but gets immunity, so whatever she says can't be used against her, and then this guy's accused and all these different things. And yeah, man, let's just get into this. Interesting. Let's get into this.
Singer, rapper Tory Lanez, convicted of shooting performer Megan Thee Stallion after a party at the Hollywood Hills home of Kylie Jenner. Here's the story. They're at the party. After the party, they get into an argument. Lanez tells Megan Thee Stallion, dance, and shoots at her feet like a cowboy movie, hits her. Proof? Testimony of Megan Thee Stallion, her friend Kelsey Harris, and DNA evidence on the weapon that convinced jurors to convict. Pretty simple, right? Maybe not. Turns out that DNA, only a 0.01% chance that the DNA is from Lanez. He's always maintained his innocence. He was sentenced to 10 years, so this is really about the testimony. Lanez, so what happens? So he goes away, recently stabbed 14 times in prison. Many say it was...
Not to mention, right after there was news that new evidence came out that was proving Tory's innocence, right after that he was stabbed, supposedly, 14 times, right after that.
It was a hit, okay? Because new evidence is about to come out. All right, a little conspiratorial, right. But you hit. Recently stabbed 14 times in prison. Many say it was a hit, okay? Because new evidence is about to come out. All right, a little conspiratorial, but he was definitely stabbed. Lanez supporters believe that the media doesn't care because Megan Thee Stallion is represented by Jay-Z's Rock Nation. Now, I could give a damn about Jay-Z or his company. This just wasn't a case on my radar until now. Why? Anna Paulina Luna. She is a representative from Florida. You see her here on a regular basis. She says she's got new evidence, says it wasn't him. And she joins us now.
Before she jumps in, let me just say this. This don't even sound believable. It never sounded believable from the very beginning. They leaving a party, and he just gets a gun and says, dance, dance. And he starts shooting her in the feet.
Long story short, Tory Lanez was smashing both of them. They all drunk. The girls find out, the two best friends, Meg Thee Stallion best friend Kelsey, I think her name was. Oh, yo, you smashing? You know how girls get. Kelsey gets the gun, shoots Megan. They blame it on Tory. Tory got the whole label situation going on. Easy way to pin it on him. Easy way to send a message. Ta-da!
A chick that he busting down, that she lied and said that they wasn't sexually active as far as romantically and all of that stuff. It don't even sound right. It sounds stupid.
Representative APL, it's good to have you.
Thanks, Chris. Happy to be back on. And thanks for taking a look at this case.
Oh, she bad.
No, listen. You tell me to take a look at it, I'll look at it. But why did you look at it? I mean, this isn't your jurisdiction. I don't know you to have any connection to any of these people.
Yeah, so as you know, we are on oversight and accountability, and so this case was actually initially flagged for me by Amber Rose, and the reason why I took a particular interest in it is because of the fact that they actually had evidence that they presented to me in my office that actually disproved the conviction. So as you stated earlier, that 0.01% of DNA, they actually found 4 people's DNA on that firearm, none of which was Tory's. Not to mention there was 0 fingerprints on the actual magazine, and also too, as you said, 0.01% chance. I mean, that evidence in itself should pretty much speak for itself. Also, there's been ring footage that's been obtained that actually disproves the whole dance Megan. And so what we're seeing is really there was a case of he said, she said. The evidence wasn't actually respected and properly adhered to actually in the trial. And then they also were doing something that I would find pretty wild and egregious. They were actually submitting his lyrics for rap as evidence to the crime. So look, first and foremost, you have to have a free and fair society. That means we need to respect and uphold the justice system. So I actually reached out today to Gavin Newsom's office, and we are requesting an emergency meeting. We're also working with other Democrats, specifically to the California delegation. But I think that this is something that's pretty egregious, that the way that this was handled, the way that it was. I think that it was largely driven by headlines. And aside from the people involved and the parties involved, obviously I take domestic violence, I take this very seriously, Chris, but I also take very seriously the fact that I do believe, based on the evidence that I've seen, that Tory's innocent. And I think that it sets a really bad message when you have someone of his stature, and also to someone that is as influential as he is, that's being wrongfully incarcerated. And that's exactly why we wanted to use our megaphone for a good reason and help get him his pardon, which I think.
And I think that he deserves a pardon immediately, because if there's no DNA evidence on the gun, and the only thing that you have is testimony from the person that was jealous at the time, that also lied in an interview that said that she didn't even have sex with him, or they wasn't romantically linked when they absolutely were, that's pretty insane. That's 100% insane. And I think that 100% he needs to be freed. And the thing that bothered me the most about this whole situation is that he was convicted in a court of public opinion before he ever got a trial. He was put a gag order on. She was able to talk. Obviously, we know record labels and marketing was involved in that because she was a heavy investment. And now she's crashing out and trying to make it seem like he's still guilty. And it seems as though he got set up in jail and was stabbed 14 times. That's not right. That absolutely is not right. You cannot convict a person in a court of public opinion, which they did that first. And then the second thing is, you cannot just throw somebody under the bus and ignore the justice system and endure evidence or withhold evidence that would allow for him to be able to be free. That's 10 years of this man's life. He almost came within an inch of dying, was stabbed 14 times. That's pretty egregious. That's pretty egregious. And anybody, including all of these women that continue to stand on this and act like he still deserved to be in prison, shame on you.
Nah, shame on
And
him.
please stop talking about how you protect and how you stand up for black men, because you know that's a lie.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. The state that we're in, where how the mindset of the mindset like of the woman's brain is just like zero logic, man. The logic is gone. It's all the way gone. It's all emotion. And I could get so much deeper into it, but I'm gonna just say, like, just shame on y'all, man. Like he just said, man. I'm gonna leave it as basic as that. Just shame on y'all, man. I should be ashamed of yourselves for sure. To sit there and see all this clear evidence that the situation was not properly dealt with, and someone was wrongfully convicted, and then someone was nearly lost their life, and people are actually women. I'm gonna talk about the women that are actually sitting there supporting that. Y'all don't deserve shit, man.
He'll get.
So, Luna, who did it? I mean, she says, and her friends say that he did it. And who else would have done it? And what proof do you have to support that? I get it. Maybe they didn't make the case the right way with the weapon, but who did it?
Kelsey.
You know, Chris, that's not for me to weigh in, and that's definitely for the judge and the jury. But what I will tell you is, based on the evidence that we have, the evidence that we have says that he wasn't the guy. And so I do think that Gavin Newsom has some great attorneys that will look at this. But I'd also like to point out that the prosecutor specifically on this case that initially brought the charges is a very interesting prosecutor. Look into who ran him. And at the end of the day, you know, I think Hollywood, as you know, Chris, in politics does overlap, and there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened there. So look at the evidence for yourself. We've posted it for the entire world to see, to determine for themselves. And I know that Tory's legal team actually has an incredible case. And so we are calling on Gavin Newsom to issue that pardon immediately. And also remember, he was almost killed in jail. I actually talked to him today on the phone, and he said that once he does get out, once he does get this pardon, which I do feel confident that he'll be getting, he's going to work extensively in prison reform, because this should never happen to anyone.
It shouldn't.
Anna Paulina Luna, this is a really interesting one. I've never covered a situation like this before, but I appreciate you using your platform, and let the legal team know we'll be reaching out if they want to come on to make the case. I'm happy to hear it, and we'll check in with the governor's office as well. Thank you very much for coming on.
And again, I think that this is unfortunate that you got a man, because you don't get a second life. Look, you may disagree with, or you may not necessarily rock with Tory Lanez, right? You may not necessarily care about Tory Lanez, But the one thing that we should stand for is our justice system. And we've spent so much time trying to please people and please women and make sure that we see people and that we acknowledge that they're seen and all of this stuff. That should not come as a result of putting a man in jail that don't deserve to be there, that could not be convicted based off of the evidence, but was convicted based off of the court of public opinion. I'm disappointed. I really am disappointed. And I said this from the beginning. You still see people on social media that still is standing for Meg Thee Stallion, and they won't even acknowledge, look at, or recognize, but they want to make sure that you recognize and acknowledge them and how they feel, but they won't even recognize the new evidence. I can't wait till this ring evidence is put out there. So hopefully we'll be able to get it and obtain it so that we can review it. Again, I don't think that Tory Lanez should have been in jail at all. It's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this position to have to advocate for something. If I'm going to advocate for something, I'm going to advocate for what's right. It doesn't matter if it's a man, don't matter if it's a woman, don't matter if it's any of that. We should absolutely be advocating for what's right. And Tory Lanez need to be released immediately. Hopefully he does. And here's the worst part. We need to hold Meg Thee Stallion accountable.
That's the
Megan
thing.
Thee Stallion needs to be held accountable. I think that we need reform, so much so that the people that make false accusations and get people convicted based off of public opinion and power, they should be sent to jail. And then they need to investigate who ordered this hit also. I want everybody gone. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the...
I mean, it's that simple, y'all. You just said it. That'll be the only way that this stops, right? Just off the false accusations and, you know, people getting away with that kind of shit, specifically women against men. Once they start convicting the woman that falsely accuses the man with the same conviction in the same time, this will immediately spike down. I'm not saying it won't ever happen because people are stupid. People will crash out and try to do a false accusation. But once they start convicting people, the women that do this against the men with the false accusations, with the same charge that the man would have got, you'll see the numbers immediately, like an immediate, you know how when the market crashes and it just dips, you'll see a dip in the false accusations. Now, as for the other side of that, with the people with the power, that is something I'm not really sure how that can stop. You know what I mean? Because money, with money comes power, man. So, I can only pray that, you know, the good people with the money can fight against the bad people with the money that make these kinds of calls and these hits and you know, have this kind of power to where they can falsely accuse a man and then convict them based upon some label shit or some music shit and some secrets that the nigga might have known. So I don't know. That's all I can really say about that. But y'all know to drop a like, comment, subscribe, man, and whatever videos you guys want to see me react to, just simply DM me on Twitter at JrReacts. I'll see y'all boys in the next video. Peace.
I've been so locked in, making moves so I don't fall off. Everybody in the feed you, you might gotta call on. It ain't no smoke, you thought I snaked you, but I wouldn't. Still take a charge, drop his ass and catch a